You have been brazenly deceived. Textbooks insist the Temple of Baalbek was built by the Romans, but the laws of physics and structural mechanics laugh in the face of this lie. We are facing a global mystification where slave labor is being passed off as technologies that are beyond the reach of even the leaders of modern industry. Are you ready to see the truth that has been hidden from you behind the ceremonial facade of official history? Baalbek is the ruins of something that Rome could not have erected, even theoretically. There is not a word in the imperial archives about the construction of this platform. The reason is simple: they did not build it. At the base of the complex lie megaliths weighing 900 tons each. To give you a sense of scale, the best German Liebherr crane lifts only 120 tons. This is the limit of 21st century steel and hydraulics. In Baalbek, however, blocks 7 times heavier are installed at a height of 9 meters with jewelry-like precision. Roman winches pulled a maximum of 60 tons. This is a chasm that cannot be explained by the diligence of slaves. We are seeing the work of a civilization whose capabilities exceed the limits of our understanding. But the shocking weight is only the tip of the iceberg. The real nightmare for historians begins when looking at the stone surface. Laser scanning has revealed traces that put an end to the version of chisels and hammers. What kind of diamond discs cut granite thousands of years ago? More on that below. Forget the tales of copper saws and slaves with chisels. We have found a piece of evidence on the stones of Baalbek that is impossible to ignore: the handwriting of high-speed machines. Where did traces identical to the work of a modern industrial milling cutter come from on ancient granite? Official science remains silent because these furrows are literally cut by technologies that we invented only in the last century. Look closely at the blocks of the southern wall. Parallel lines 3 meters long run with a pitch of 2 millimeters and a depth of 0.5 millimeter. Laser scanning has confirmed this is not manual work. Any tool in human hands will falter, but here we see ideal machine feed. Moreover, decorative chamfers are executed on the megaliths with a precision of up to 1/3 of a millimeter. Identical traces have been found thousands of kilometers away, in China and Jordan. The same pitch, the same cutting disc diameter. This is not a coincidence, but a single standard of a global corporation of builders who possessed equipment capable of cutting rock at a speed of 10 centimeters per minute. The presence of machine tools in deep antiquity is already a sensation. But machinery requires roads, and moving such weights requires an ultra-strong foundation. How did these giants move to the temple without turning the soil into a mess? Ahead lies a logistical nightmare that even an army of Volvo tractors could not handle. 3 stones weighing more than the military cruiser Aurora. The Baalbek trilithon is a direct challenge to gravity. If the Romans were geniuses, why didn't they leave blueprints on how to drag 2,700 tons to a height of 9 meters? The answer is terrifying. Official history hides the fact that these blocks were installed by a force that is unavailable to us today. The trilithon consists of 3 giants, each 19 meters long. Each weighs 900 tons. To move such a behemoth today, it would take 20 of the most powerful Volvo tractors working in perfect synchronization. But that's on asphalt. In Baalbek, however, the blocks are raised above the ground and fitted with the precision of a CNC machine. The gap between them is less than 0.5 millimeter. Tails of wooden rollers are shattered by physics. An oak log will be crushed into dust under a load of just 5 tons. Moving the trilithon would have required alloy steel rollers and a specialized track, not a crowd of slaves with ropes. Transcendental weight and jewelry-like precision are the signature of a civilization of superhumans. But if the blocks couldn't be transported on carts, how did they get from the quarry to the temple? We investigated the transportation route, and the absence of one key detail on it leaves engineers at a loss. See more below. Where are the traces of super-heavy roads? Any engineer will confirm an attempt to drag a 900-ton monolith over ordinary soil is an instant catastrophe. The stone would simply bury itself in the ground, turning the soil into a trench. If the blocks were dragged from the quarry, there must be a track beneath them stronger than the runways for heavy Boeings. Let's turn on the calculator. 900 tons of weight creates a pressure of 15 kilograms per square centimeter. Ordinary soil can withstand a maximum of 2. Without a meter-deep cushion of gravel and steel plates, the behemoth would sink into the ground in seconds. But archaeologists have found nothing, not a hint of a prepared path along the entire kilometer from the quarry to the temple. It's as if the giants didn't travel, but levitated in the air. The official version involving thousands of oxen is ridiculous. In those times, a cart carried 500 kilograms. The difference in capability is 1,800-fold. No amount of grease on the rollers will save it if the ground itself is unable to bear such a load. The absence of roads is a death sentence for official history. But if moving the blocks seems like the peak of complexity to you, take a look at what the builders left behind in the quarry. There lie extra stones, whose weight makes modern crane operators turn grey. See more below. Monsters sleep in the Lebanese ponds that officially should not exist. If 900-ton blocks seem like the limit to you, what would you say about stones weighing 1,650 tons abandoned in the quarry? These are not just blanks. They are silent witnesses to a sudden catastrophe that interrupted the work of the great builders mid-sentence. In the flooded quarry of Baalbek lie the stone of the south and the stone of the pregnant woman. The weight of one of them exceeds 1,600 tons. Look at the technology. The blocks are separated from the bedrock by perfectly even trenches 4 meters deep. The walls are vertical, the angles are square. This is the work of a powerful machine, not a slave with a chisel. Modern researchers are in shock. Why cut blocks that are 14 times heavier than the capacity of our best crane? It is obvious that for the ancient builders, the 900-ton stones of the trilithon were merely a light warm-up, and the limit of their capabilities were behemoths weighing 1,500 tons. They planned to use them, but something went wrong. These giants are evidence that the builders feared no weight. But why did they need specific pink granite, which is not found in all of Lebanon? To find it, we will have to cover 1,100 kilometers following the traces of a global logistical network. See more below. Pink granite from Aswan in the middle of Lebanon. 1,100 kilometers across mountains and seas. Who was the dispatcher of this global construction project? If you believe in accidental exchange of knowledge, explain, how did the ancients organize a delivery that today would cost billions of dollars and require the participation of the fleets of several countries? In Baalbek, 200 columns of pink granite were discovered. But within a 1,000-kilometer radius, such a rock simply does not exist. The nearest source is Aswan in Egypt. The path seems impossible, 800 kilometers against the current of the Nile, 400 kilometers by sea, and a deadly serpentine through the mountains of Lebanon with an ascent of 2,000 meters. Ordinary ships of that time would have sunk under the weight of a single 100-ton column. And on mountain trails, the 7,000 workers needed for traction would simply have nowhere to stand. This is not a camel caravan, but the work of a global transport system for which borders and terrain meant nothing. Baalbek and Egypt were branches of the same technosphere. But what caused this system to suddenly freeze? The answer lies in the eerie marks on the stone. The granite didn't just crack, it literally turned into glass. See more below. Granite shattered like fragile glass at temperatures of 1,200 degrees. What kind of weapon turned the greatest temples into melted ruins? Officially, this is written off as time, but time does not know how to turn solid rock into glass. We have found evidence of a global strike that literally evaporated those who ruled the world before us. Look at the fragments of the Baalbek columns. They didn't just fall, they were torn to shreds. Vitrification is visible on the edges of the chips. The stone melted, forming a mirror-like crust. Such an effect is achievable only under extreme heat or a powerful shockwave. To shatter a granite monolith 2.5 meters in diameter, the explosive energy of an aerial bomb is required. And this is no accident. Exactly the same melted megaliths lie in Peru and at Stonehenge. Across the planet, the traces of destruction are identical. This is not an earthquake, where stones simply shift. These are traces of directed destruction of colossal power that turned engineering masterpieces into rubble. The catastrophe occurred long before the rise of Rome. The empire arrived at an ash heap that had already had time to cool. But if the Romans didn't build these giants, why did they claim someone else's glory? The answer lies in their cunning strategy of archaeological raiding. See more below. The Romans didn't build, they simply cleaned up. Why is there not a single inscription with the names of architects in Baalbek, contrary to imperial traditions? In Rome, every aqueduct and forum was signed, but here, dead silence. The answer is shocking. The great Caesars simply seized someone else's ruins and passed them off as their own, committing the most massive corporate raid in history. The difference between the foundation and the Roman superstructure is immediately visible. At the bottom are 900-ton blocks, with fitting precision down to a micron. On top is ordinary Roman masonry made of stones weighing 5 to 10 tons. The Romans were pragmatics. Having discovered a ready-made, ultra-strong platform, they simply built their temples on it. They did not possess the technologies of the gods, but merely used what survived after the apocalypse. For Rome, Baalbek was not a construction site, but a grandiose find that they appropriated, without even understanding how the megaliths beneath their feet had been installed. The Romans took the glory, but used only the tip of the iceberg. If Baalbek is only the facade, then what is hidden in the depths? Secret Georadar reports discovered something beneath the platform that forced the authorities to immediately ban any excavations. See more below. Secret Georadar reports and a strict taboo on research. Why are archaeologists in Baalbek allowed to dig only 2 meters deep? Officially, it is for safety reasons. In reality, the authorities fear what is hidden in the lower tiers. The visible part of the platform is merely the tip of a giant underground iceberg. Georadar scanning caused a shock. The instruments detected voids and clear structures at a depth of up to 15 meters directly beneath the temple. These are entire floors of megalithic masonry extending downward. Catastrophic mud flows could have buried this structure in a matter of hours, leaving only the roof on the surface. Fragments of columns have already been found in the vicinity at a depth of 7 meters, in layers formed long before Rome. The full results of the scanning are classified, and excavations have been halted under ridiculous pretexts. What is there? An ancient shelter or the technical halls of an unknown civilization? The ban on excavations is a sure sign that the truth is inconvenient. But even the scale of the above-ground part does not fit the canons of religion. Why would a temple need a platform the size of an airfield? This behemoth had a completely different functional purpose. See more below. Why pray on a runway? Baalbek is called the Temple of Jupiter, but its architecture screams of a different purpose. This is not a place for prayer, but an engineering object of colossal strength. A platform capable of withstanding millions of tons of load. What was it actually needed for? Look at the logic. First, an ultra-strong foundation of 900-ton megaliths is created, and then a fragile temple is built upon it. It is like pitching a tent on the foundation of a nuclear reactor. Ancient texts, including the Epic of Gilgamesh, refer to Baalbek as the place where the gods descended to Earth. In technical language, it is a landing pad. The massive slabs of the trilithon serve here as dampers, absorbing vibration and thermal shock. If we discard religion, we are looking at an industrial facility for the needs of a civilization for which flight was a reality. Baalbek is merely a node in a global network of ancient stargates. But what if this network is still active? We have mapped the coordinates of megaliths across the planet and found a pattern that leaves no room for doubt. We are being prepared for the return of the masters. See the finale. Baalbek is not just ruins, but a component of a planet-sized mechanism. We consider megaliths to be chaotic structures, but what if they are part of a unified navigation network? The geometric precision of the placement of these objects around the world excludes coincidence. This is a global beacon that is still waiting for its hour. If you connect Baalbek, the pyramids of Giza and Stonehenge with lines, we get perfect mathematical proportions. The coordinates of Baalbek are tied to the golden ratio relative to centers in Peru and Cambodia. Why such precision? The answer is terrifying. This network could have stabilized the planet's energy field. Today, the nodes are waking up. Sensors are recording anomalous bursts of radiation directly above the ancient platforms. We are on the threshold of a moment when the abandoned terminal of Baalbek will again receive a signal from space. The system is rebooting, and the old masters of Earth could return at any moment. The mystery of Baalbek is not about the past, but about our future. We have found traces of technologies that cannot be surpassed and a catastrophe that cannot be forgotten. Are we ready to meet those who erected these walls? Subscribe so you don't miss the decoding of the next node of the Matrix. Watch our other videos. Baalbek is not just stones, but a challenge to everything we know about humanity. We are used to considering ourselves the pinnacle of progress, but the ruins of Lebanon prove, before us on the planet lived those for whom the laws of physics were merely a set of rules that could be changed. Official history is shattered by the 900-ton blocks of the trilithon. Neither the legions of Rome nor slaves with copper chisels could create an object of such complexity. The absence of roads, traces of stone melting, the delivery of granite over thousands of kilometers, and a strict mathematical link to other megaliths of the planet. Everything points to a single high-tech civilization. Baalbek was not a temple. It was a node in a global network whose true purpose is hidden behind secret reports and myths. We have found not just ruins, but abandoned technologies of the gods that are beginning to show signs of life again. The truth about Baalbek is only the first layer of a global conspiracy of silence. What other secrets do the world's megaliths hide, and why are the authorities afraid of their research? The answers are close at hand. Like the video if you are ready to know the truth, and subscribe to the channel. The most exciting things are ahead. See you in new episodes.